I'm super stoked to be here. And guess what? This is going to be our last Facebook Live as I am heading out to Arizona tomorrow. I'm going to be at the Biltmore Hotel getting ready to do the zone event, which I'm excited to be there with you. And I'm sure I'll pop in here with some behind the scenes videos and things like that. But if you're just getting into this Facebook group and you're coming to the zone event, you can go back through the list of videos. I mean, Jason Fladlin was in here and Amy Mata was in here. And I've done a lot of just short 15, 20-minute like pre-trainings to just get your mind in the place to be able to get the results that you're wanting to get at the zone event. So with all of that being said, this is going to be my last formal live, meaning that I'll be popping in here randomly between now and Friday, which is when the zone event actually starts. So hi, Judy, how are you? So I wanted to talk to you about work ethic today. So this morning I got up and I was, doing my thing before my son gets up. And then he got up and I became a mom. And my schedule pretty much today is back to back. Like when I look at it, it's like back to back today. And so like it's solid straight all day, keeps going until I'm doing a workout at 4:30. So I'm doing my son's swim class and then I'm going to do a workout at 4:30. And so pretty much I'm done at about 5:30 today, which I guess is a normal day for most people, but I don't like being back to back to back all day. But with being back to back all day, and we gave our nanny Allison the day off so that she can go to Disneyland with her friends. And so, which, we're leaving for zone tomorrow. So there's just a lot of details that have to get handled before I leave. And so I get a Voxer message I have a group called the 1% Club, and it's a group that I work with privately. And it's exciting to see their results. And, at the same time, it's definitely a different level of service because they're connected to me and can message me. Voxer is basically an app that they can text message or voice message me pretty much like nonstop. They're connected to me this closely. And so I get this Voxer message and one of our clients was saying, I would love to get your last webinar. We did a webinar that converted at 11%, which is really good for cold traffic, which means that I didn't run any of my list traffic to it. I just ran Facebook ads to it. And through the Facebook ads, 11% of these people who didn't know me said yes to our offer. So that's an incredible webinar. That's actually over $1 million webinar. And so my clients are like, can I have a copy of the webinar? And I'm thinking, well, I can give you the slides, but without the slides, without the detailed information about why I put the slides where I put them or what I say, it's just a tactic. You know what I mean? Like if I just give them the slides without the leadership behind it, without, the generosity behind it, it's just a tactic. And so I'm sitting there going, sure, I could have the work ethic of just shooting the slides over to them, which is still generous, but it's like not going all the way. You know what I mean? It's giving what someone's asking you for and just giving it to them, but it's not going all the way because I know that they can't really do something with it unless I sit down and go through all the slides with them. And I Voxered them back and I said, I'm leaving for zone and I don't know if you guys have a webinar coming up in the next day or two or week, but after zone event, I take the week after zone event off. And so I will be popping into Amy Yamada's event, the Dream Big event, which is right after my event. So I'm staying I'm staying some extra days in Arizona at the Biltmore so that I can go to Amy's and I can go get like a couples massage with my husband and, play with my son and do some fun things before we head back to California. But I'm still off that week. And so what I want to talk to you about is one side, how do you manage your work ethic and give and give and give and still give to yourself in a way that you're not infringing on your commitments to yourself and your own personal time. So I messaged my client back and I said, I can send you the slides, but like I just taught this to our Pace Club group. I literally took the webinar. Whenever I have something successful, I pay it forward into Pace Club. And as I pay it forward into Pace Club, I paid that webinar forward at their mastermind that just finished. And it took me an hour, almost an hour and a half to go through all of it and show them how to lead this webinar and articulate their story and their steps in a way that it would convert really well. And so I said, I cannot do that because I actually don't have the bandwidth to do it, like physically don't have the time in my calendar to do it. And if I take any time on my calendar, that means that, if I take an hour and a half or an hour out of my calendar to go through those slides with them, then that's going to have to be at about 5:30, 6 o'clock tonight, which means that I'm going to work all the way through to my son going to bed, because my son goes to sleep at about 7:38. So I would have to skip dinner. I would have to not be with my son and be present with him. And to give you an idea, I was driving him to school this morning, and I turned on the music, and he was talking to me, and he was like, mommy, I'm talking to you. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, he's very present to the fact if I'm not present. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not like I can get away with anything with this 3-year-old. He really deserves to be, tended to. And I love that he has a voice to tell me. So what do you do? I mean, what do you do if you've got, a million things to get done? But it's like, if you add one more thing to your plate, you're going to have to give up, because there's always a trade-off. You're going to have to give something up. And so I can give you a lot of tactics, but again, the tactics without the leadership and the generosity in leadership, you're going to find they don't work as well. So here's what I did. My first response was, I can't. Again, I physically do not have time to do it. And I am not going to not be a good mom. I can't. And that's where the initial hit comes in, right? Does anybody feel me? Like, do you have hits like that where you're just like, please stop? Like, everybody just stop for a minute, back off. I got to take some space here. If you do, comment, because I want to hear you. And so I had one of those moments, but it lasted seconds because of my work ethic. And so I take Zach to school. I'm driving home, and I'm like, I've got this space right now. So we have something called hands-free. So maybe you don't agree with hands-free, but I hands-freed my client, and I called her, and I parked in front of my house, and I went through the slides mentally with her, the key most important slides. So even though I couldn't go through the entire slide deck, I said, when you get the slide deck, which I'll go inside and give it to you, once you get the slide deck, here are the things that you need to think about. Opening story, how I positioned the 3 steps, how I transition into the offer, and why I put 2 slides inside the webinars strategically to be able to create influence, and how to stay in the step you're in on each of these steps. So I taught her that in about 15 minutes. She recorded it. She's good. We're good. And I can go on with my day, and it didn't prevent me from being generous. But my work ethic is what had me go over and above and make sure that they could do something with the webinar slides that I gave them. My point in sharing that with you is the way that we lead our thoughts and lead our day are critically important. And whenever I find myself in a moment that I'm like, oh, I just can't, I physically can't do it, or I physically don't have the money, or I physically, whenever I find myself in that moment, I am not kidding you, from the bottom of my heart, it is a moment that I know that the devil has me, or it's a moment that I know that, my ego has me. It's the moment that I know that I've reached a limit in my leadership. And I know that the vision and the dream that you have and I have is much bigger than the reality we're living right now. And so if we are committed to getting to seeing what's next, I mean, even forget the ambition of it. Let's just go back to the fact that we have this life to live. And don't you want to see what's more for you? I mean, I know you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be coming to the Zone event. It's what's more? What would my life look like with something different in it? Not that we don't like what we have. It's about like when I die, I want to have experienced the most of my life that I can, which means that I must continue to develop my leadership, and I must continue to live in the challenge, in the stretch, in the growth of my life, not in where I feel like I physically can't. So whenever this physically can't moment comes up, I know I've reached a limit, which means that my next level, your next level, can't even come in unless we pass the test of this moment. Your work ethic is your reputation. Your work ethic is your reputation because your work ethic is always connected to generosity. And the people who give the most have the easiest life. The people who give the most have the easiest life. I'm not saying give to get. It's different, like I giving out of guilt or giving out of have to, or even sitting down to do a webinar out of I have to do it to make these sales. That's all a give to get. When you operate from this tweak where you're like, my reputation is what I want it to be, and givers receive more, because it's like Zig Ziglar talks about, the more people that we help, the what happens is there's this tipping point where things start to just flow in. So my friend Steve, he's a football player. He messaged me, and he'll actually be at the Zone event. He messaged me and said he's really excited about his new podcast, and would I be willing to do a Facebook story about it, an Instagram story about it, and post his new podcast? And I said, yeah. And, send me, like, tell me, like, what is your podcast really about? Like, because I don't have the time right now to listen to it. So maybe you have to sometimes lower your standards in some areas and raise your standards in some areas. I would love to listen to his whole podcast, but I physically don't have the time. But I don't want to stop at that limitation. I want to see, how can I still over deliver? I over deliver as a coach. I over deliver as a wife. I mean, if you were to interview my husband, he will definitely tell you. He tells me at least once a week that I, in some way or form, over deliver as a wife. And I say this with complete humility because I come from a very selfish background of like, I need my time, I need my, space, and now it's like, I just don't have to fight for those things anymore. I just get them because of the way that I lead. And so I want to share well, even with Steve, it's like, tell me I'm trying to give you some ideas on how to do it, is what I'm trying to do. It's like, I'm trying to like put my mind map from my head, on this stream so that you can possibly open up to a different way of doing things. So what I would love to do is listen to his podcast when I go for a run or something like that. But right now I'm going to Orange Theory. And so I could shift and go for a run, listen to his podcast, but I don't really want to. I want to go to Orange Theory. I want to stay in my schedule because I know I'll get a good workout because the coach is going to coach me. I'm not going to coach me. Whenever you allow a coach into your life and you allow them to coach you and push you, you're going to create a better result than you're going to create on your own. That's just proven. Okay. So I'm going to Orange Theory. So I asked Steve for his, tell me about your heart in this podcast. Like, why are you doing this? Like, what are the interviews like? What are the stories like? And so he cut me a video, sent it back to me. It took me 3 minutes to listen to that. And now I can position his podcast and actually email my email list, which is huge power. And we could front load his podcast much more so than even our Facebook pages and our Instagram pages. And mind you, I think I have 160,000 people who follow me on just my Hardcore Business Facebook page. I mean, it's significant. And so I'm even thinking I could even get more generous, and I could tell our Facebook team, like I could do a quick 60-second video on Facebook and tell my Facebook team to run $500 to that to drive traffic to him. See, when you do things like this for people, what happens is, I don't know if Steve will ever give to me. I mean, no, I'm doing it. And I can't think of he's in a completely different industry than me. Like, I can't think of anything he could give me other than to be a great friend to my husband, which is great. They were at prayer circle this morning, which I love, so that's worth it all. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because my work ethic is my reputation. And if I can show up, if you can show up where you go that extra mile for people and not be a mom or a dad or a friend, or this is also why I pick and choose who I hang out with. I have lots of amazing people in my life, but I honestly don't have dinner with all of them. I mean, it's just like I just don't. I have dinner with the people in my life that really are up to a big game, and they have a deep loyalty and a very, very deep generosity. And if that checklist, just like finding my husband, isn't in check, then what happens is I don't stay friends with that person. And so it doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean I don't show up for them. I have a client who I am no longer like hanging out with on a personal level, because she just really is not generous after multiple years. I just cannot seem to teach her how to be generous. And so she's generous to a level of she'll give to get, she'll give out of guilt, but she will not give to the level of what she needs to be able to take her company to the level that she wants. And so I've just stopped like hanging out on a regular basis, not because I don't love the person. It's like no judgment. But when you look at your calendar and you think, who do I want to put my time into? I'm going to tell you, you better put your time into people who really are givers, who have your back, who are not telling you to play small, who are not telling you that you've done enough. And this is excluding family, because family will almost always tell you that you've done enough because they're trying to protect you. So outside of that scenario, I'm saying, you have the same amount of time that I have in a day. And your life and your business grows based on key leaders that you have in your business and your personal life. And so make sure that your circle of friends are the circle of friends that signify the growth and the difference and the impact that you want to make on the planet. And make sure as you grow your business that you don't settle for like people who don't want to work, or people who constantly miss deadlines, or and if you're that type of person who constantly misses deadlines, or who is late all the time, or doesn't complete what you start, which is why you know back a few weeks ago I was saying, you said you were coming to the zone event, come to the zone event. Don't be the type of person, if you know, you'll see the people who don't come, and there's an attrition. There's always an attrition. There's like 15% of the people who signed up for the zone event won't come. And it's like, if I was to go into their life, and I'm not saying a death in the family, but I'm saying a car accident stops them. And I'm saying they're not injured, they're not in the hospital. A fight with their boyfriend or their husband or their wife stops them. Money stops them. And it's like, oh my God, like, how long are you going to allow your life to live in these limits? I mean, that's the whole reason why we put on the zone event every year, is to show you how to navigate your mind and your decisions. You're only one decision away, only one idea away from breaking free. But if you don't put yourself in the surrounding environment of people playing this game, then you're off solo. In scripture, I love to read scripture. And scripture literally says, like, that's how you get eaten. Be the sheep that goes into isolation away from the crowd. Don't do that. Come to the zone event, finish what you start, see what's available for you, and whatever challenge you're navigating right now, navigate it. But pay attention to what we talked about today. Is there another way that you can do things so that you can free yourself up to be able to have your life work on all different areas? So this is officially our last Facebook Live for the Zone Event Facebook group, as far as scheduled, meaning that I will be popping in here. I'll be getting on a plane tomorrow. And I'll be popping in here and showing you behind the scenes and showing you our war room at the zone event. I need to call it the peace room. Actually, I'm going to relabel that. We call it the war room right now, which is where all the team comes together and is working together. And behind the scenes, they come in a day and 2 days before the event to, organize things and organize, the whole flow of the event. And we have different gifts for you as we go throughout the event. And I just hope that you feel loved and generously taken care of. And I just hope that you walk in with an open mind and you're ready to learn, because I promise you, I am giving you, what I taught at our PACE Mastermind, I'm teaching some of that at the zone event, some stuff that I teach in our Marketing Mastery, is our high-end mastermind. I'm teaching you, some of that, and then some new stuff that both you haven't learned and my clients haven't learned, so that I can infuse a new lifeline into the zone event, because you'll have, I think there's about 140 or 150 of my clients coming. So that's always neat too, because you can, when you meet them, you can ask them questions, so you can build up your mindset. Like, yes, you can do it. If somebody else is doing it, you could do it. If somebody else is making $20,000 in a weekend, you could do it. If somebody else can make $5,000 in a day, you can do it. And I'm not making an income claim, because God knows I don't want to get sued. But I just really believe that if you can figure out your work ethic and you figure out your boundaries of how you run your life, then there is enough time for sleep, there is enough time to get your nails done, there's enough time to sit in the bath, a magnesium bath, and read the Bible or your Course in Miracles or whatever it is that you read. And there just is enough time. There just is. It's just, who do you choose to spend your time with? And that's where the chess game starts to come into play. Who do you choose to spend your time with? And then where are you going to put your focus in business so that you can scale quickly? And I can just tell you that when you have enough money, you typically do not have a problem, because you can put money towards the problem, and other than possibly getting cancer or something like that. And even there, so you have some amazing people who are underground who heal that stuff that they don't talk about it in public, that you can pay for. So that's it. That's all I got for you. I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Tell me what you're excited about. And I would love to know this. I would love to know, why did you make the decision to come to the zone event? Why did you make the decision to come to the zone event? Will you type that in the comments section? All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.